All right, this is JavaScript, part one, the first tutorial on it, and we will go over it, and we're basically just going over the basics. As usual, you first go over what is in the lecture, and in this case, this is week 4 of future job a class. It could be another week, but this week it's in week 4 and 5, and it's in here. What is JavaScript? It's important that you kind of learn about a little bit what it is, and read through this and kind of get to know this lecture. So your first stop is reading this. Now, we went over this in class, console.log. That is your second stop to go back over this code and work with it and get to know it, find it in DevTools, and here it is. So what I had asked you to do is to change the alert message and to change some of the numbers and create a haiku. And what this shows you is that script.js, this is talking to this. It's also showing you the how like this variable here can be a part of more than one alert. If it's not amazing, wait a second, amazing is spelled wrong. So we changed the name of amazing, and then a different message popped up. So I also sneaked in a operator arithmetic in here. This actually works. This actually has done its thing because there's no error message. You just can't see it because it's not console logged. But you can see these. Let me show you what a console log looks like again. Let's open this up. There it is. JavaScript is fun. Why Bob is so smelly. Here's my haiku poem. Today is foggy. I can barely see. And everyone, this is not new stuff. But we've gone over it in class. But we're going over it again. I go JavaScript console, and then all these cool little fun console.logs show up here. You do things like, ooh, let me change this number and see if anything happens. Let's see, 108, 95, 85. You save it, save, and we'll see what it looks like. Did it change? Have to cycle through this again. You may want to do something like that for labyrinths. And then let's look, developer. And the numbers have gotten much bigger. Trust me. This is interesting. This tells you what kind of value this is. A string, number, or boolean. Booleans are true or false. Strings are words. And numbers are numbers. So type of, what is type of? That's a boolean. Type of Joaquin and Jasper, that is, no, I'm sorry. Type of Jeff, that's in quotation marks. That is oh my gosh. Well, let's look. This is a number, and this is a, let's double check again. I'm blanking out because I had a long day, and so we're going to look what kind of value that is. Oh my God. And that's a string. That is a string. So what is this? Here is a string. We'll get more into it. You don't have to totally you don't have to totally, absolutely learn everything right now. Um, Now, when you're declaring a variable, this is what it looks like. You're declaring JS as a variable, and you're giving it a value. JS equals amazing. Down here, and let is you use let instead of var these days. You'll see var in some of the code, but let means that it could possibly change. You could change the value of this variable. Const is something that you want to keep consistent. Like my first name will always be consistently Jeffrey. Okay, so there you go. And then this is kind of interesting because it gives a value to first name. It declares the value as first name, and then it gives. I'm sorry. It declares the variable, and then gives this variable first name a value. Declares a variable, last name, and then gives this last name a value. The cool thing about first name and last name is you can change. You can still change this, but yeah, JavaScript. We'll get deeper into that. So that's console.log. We went over that. We checked it out. You did your haiku poem. Good job for those who did it. I think most people did it. Okay, moving on. So now we looked at this fantastic code from the fantastic W3 schools. The link is right here. And what this code is meant to show you is that this is an example of JavaScript talking to HTML. How does it do that? It gets element by ID, and the HTML part right here, ID is demo. So it grabs that, and it's able to change both the font size and the color if you change this right here. So yeah, button on click, my function, click on me, and has this as a function, as a clickable function button, and that's in JavaScript. But it takes this my function button and turns it into a function, And this is an example of a function where it turns this into a working JavaScript that is interactive, that you can use it. And your assignment was to take this and turn it into this, bring it into your visual code, and to see if it works, and also to change the color and all that. So let's go look for it. Okay. And again, W3 Schools is one of your main resources. So you have 3 to 4 different main resources. We'll go over it, but so far we've covered the main resources of reading the PDF of the lecture, which is very important, and looking at W3 Schools for reference when you go over something. Okay. So this code, let's make it look. Let's look what it looks like at first. Open default, see if it works. Try it, and it does. Okay. You can play around with it, make it bigger, turn it red. Always save it. Always save it. But you see this? Get element by ID. What is an ID? ID. That could say class equals demo, and then it would say get class. I'm so sorry. Get element by class. Same thing. Eccentric. So it's letting x equal this whole function. I think it's called a DOM, and it is where it's talking to what's happening. It's talking to that ID in HTML, and then it's saying, hey, that ID inside that demo, and we need to be able to change the style the font and the font size. So it's style. It's again, it's a CSS style kind of referencing. Hey, this is a style. We're changing it. So that's why it says style.font-size, style.color, and I think you can do things like x.style.font family. I'll look into that, so you can change. You click it and you change the font family. I'm not sure. Maybe maybe it would look something like this: style font family. Yes, you can. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you get my idea. Helvetica, something like that. I don't know if it'll work, but you get the idea of how I'm laying it out, and I will see if that works. I don't know if it will, but and it's simple code, and it's from W3 Schools, which is a fantastic. All right. Hey, it does change it. What do you know? It changed the it to Helvetica as well. All right, and then maybe that's something you can put in your labyrinth, and to make it simple, you can put a little click through button down here, so you don't have to tie it into this. Okay, try it. It only works once. You can do it like this. Boom. Helvetica. It's red. It's bigger. It works with JavaScript. All right, moving along. Now, so important to know this. I laid out the course thinking that we would be in another week, but we're extending this week 2 weeks, but it is important for you to venture over to week 6 and 7 and kind of know that there's this amazing code from JavaScript book. And this is, I'm doing you a favor. Download both of these, leave this one alone, and work on this one. So instead of you having to duplicate it, I just said I'm going to duplicate it for you. So download these both of these code. Okay, what does that code look like? I'll show you in a moment what that code looks like. But I want to show you what it references. It references this lecture I'm putting together, and it'll be there by Thursday. I'm like 90% done. And it's basically basic instructions, statements, comments, and variables. So I think it's chapter 2, and I do start chapter 3 in it. But you only have to worry about chapter 2 all the way up to 14. And we'll go over this on Tuesday. And it's basically all these chapters are just kind of naming things. What is this is? What is a statement? What is a comment? What is a variable? Okay. What are the different data types? We went over string data types. We went over numeric data types, and we went over Boolean already. So there's a reminder. Well, what does this go to? What is this references? What is this JavaScript book that I'm talking about? Well, I will show you. I will show you where it is. If you don't want to, well, I've curated the JavaScript book into this lecture, so I pulled out what I think is the most critical stuff. But if you absolutely want to dig into the best JavaScript book out there, it is in the library, and it is a wonderful thing. And I will go there right now. Hold on. I'll go there right now. See if it'll pop up. It might take a little while. Oh, got this thing. Okay, good. Here it is. View online. I hope it works. I actually haven't seen if it works yet, but if they put it up there, I imagine. I don't know why it asked me to click through twice. Maybe I'll edit this up and spit it. Okay. Okay. Start. Okay. Yeah, hit this. Oh yeah, cool. So I start with basic JavaScript instructions, and I also go over functions and methods. All right. And about 2 more weeks, we'll do decisions and loops, and you'll have your own special. We do all the way up to events, and we skip jQuery and Ajax and JSON. So we don't go over any of this more complicated stuff. Okay. So again, I am curating what this book is about, and I'm creating its own little lecture. And it is a fantastic way of of understanding and learning JavaScript. Okay. Now, this is something to point out. Variables, how to declare them. This is a variable. Now I say let instead of var. So the book is a little old. So let quantity, variable name. This is a keyword. Let or var on const. This is the variable name, and this is it declaring quantity equals 3. There's another shorthand way of doing it, and then you go var quantity equals 3, semicolon. Bam. Or let quantity equals 3. So that's just an example why this fantastic book is out there, and it is curated and condensed into this right here. Where's this going to be? Well, I will show you. It will be in the next week, but I do want you looking at it, and it is in 6 and 7, right? We're now, yeah, that bonus JavaScript will be right here, right under here, under the lecture week 5 and 6, or which is actually now lecture 6, week 6 and 7. Okay. See what we're in week 4 and 5. Week 5 right now. All right, where's this code? This code is fantastic. It's right here. All right, it is absolutely wonderful code. It's easy to understand. It is easy to access, and cancel. Okay. So there it is, and it's super cool because you go into it and you open it, and here's your save this, go into your edit, chapter 2 of the JavaScript book code, and you have all of this fantastic code to check out. Okay, and it's really simply laid out. I reference it. So you would be going something like this. You would be going keynote. Oh shoot, yeah. All right, you would be going statements was a variable, data types, variable to store a string. So where is that at? It is string with quotes code. String with quotes code. This is what it looks like. Okay. So, and here is the, there it is. Let's look at it and open in default browser. Cancel. There you go. That's what that looks like. You can go in just like anything and change the number. The code, that's the beginning of the basic code. Okay, what happens with string with stroke? What is a string? A string with stroke is words. And these words are stating something. A sale, I believe. String with quotes has you could write it like this. Okay, instead of just var message, you could do shorthand and say let title equals Molly's special author. It can be written like that. Var instead of, yeah. Okay. What's also super cool is that this message, I have embedded a link, which is super cool. I don't want to mess up the code, but that's just one way of looking at it. So this is the variable keyword, and this is the variable name. This is declaring the variable title equals this, and we're dealing with strings, and you know a string when it's words and it's in quotation marks and has a semicolon. You'll notice get element by ID, get element by ID note. You notice all that. Okay, and L title dot text content dot inner HTML, L title, element title, element note. So you'll know how to figure this out. We'll get deeper into it, but for now you've explored get element by ID. What does that again look like again? String with quotes. We're looking for the ID title. Where is it here? There it is. Div ID equals title. Div ID equals note. So it has two different IDs right there. Okay. All the fancy, beautiful background is from the CSS, and the text and the interactivity is HTML meets JavaScript. Okay.